This video will show you how to find the correlation coefficient and the line of best fit in Excel. So we're looking at this example where a science class collected some data on the speed of sound and is shown in the table below. Again, we're finding correlation coefficient and line of best fit for this set of data. So we're going to let the length be the x variable or the independent variable, and the frequency be the y or the dependent variable. So since we're using Excel, we're going to make sure all we're going to do to start off, again, I'm following right from the directions in the note sheet, is we're going to enter the x or the independent variable into a first column, and then the y or the dependent variable into a second column in an Excel spreadsheet. So I've entered the data here. Here's my x values, and here are my y values. Again, this is coming right from the table. So once you've entered your data, again, I'm following the directions right in the note sheet, we're going to highlight all of the data and insert a scatter plot. So we're going to click on Insert, and we're going to choose the scatter plot. When you look at these, notice the first scatter plot will just give you a scatter plot. The second one gives you a connected one. We don't want a connected scatter plot. We don't want just lines in the scatter plot. We don't want an unconnected scatter plot. We don't want just lines again in our scatter plot. We want just the scatter plot. So we're choosing the first one with no lines at all in the problem. So now my scatter plot is created. To find the correlation coefficient and the line of best fit, we're going to click on the plus sign next to the scatter plot. Notice here we can add in axis titles. So if you're making a scatter plot and you're presenting it to someone, it's always good to have titles on your scatter plot. It's always good to have a title on your scatter plot. But we're going to choose trend line. Trend line. So I'm going to choose it. Notice it puts the line of best fit on the scatter plot, but it doesn't actually give us the equation of the scatter plot. So to find the equation of the scatter plot, we're going to hit on this little arrow to the side here, and we're going to choose more options. That's going to open up the trend line format. We are dealing with a linear curve here. At some point, you're going to be dealing with other curves such as exponential and possibly quadratic. But to bring up the equation or the line of best fit and the correlation coefficient, we need to arrow all the way down to the bottom and click on Display Equation on Chart and click on Display R squared value on chart. Those will both show up on the scatter plot now. And now we have our line of best fit, and we have something that will get us to our correlation coefficient. So notice our line of best fit, y equals negative 1,570.5x plus 735.05. Please make sure when you're listing your line of best fit, you put it in context of the problem. You want to label what the y was and label what the x was. So my line of best fit, remember the y was the frequency. So we have frequency equals the next part of the equation is negative 1,570.5. So negative 1,570.5. Oops. Then we have the times x. Remember, the x in the problem is length, so make sure you put it into context of the problem. And then we have plus 735.05. So we go back and we plus 735.05. There is my line of best fit. This is the line that best represents the data collected. So now we need to find the correlation coefficient. They do give us an r squared. R squared and r are not the same values. So we need to find the r from r squared. How do you think we're going to get r by itself? We need to get rid of a square, and how do we get rid of a square? We take the square root. So I can do this right in Excel. So I can hit equals of the square root of 0.9729. And we get 0.986357. This is where you need to make sure you're paying close attention to your problem. When you take the square root of any value, you can either get the positive or the negative solution. So we need to use our brain here and look at the scatter plot. Do you think this is a positive correlation or a negative correlation? Hopefully you see it's a negative correlation because the scatter plot is decreasing from left to right. So my R value, or my correlation coefficient, is negative 0.986357. Again, round appropriately. Normally we round to 4 numbers after the decimal. So our correlation coefficient is negative 0.9864. There's my correlation coefficient and the line of best fit found using Excel.